It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Oh my goodness. Hey, I didn't see you there. How are you doing? My name is Jeremy, and I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. I'm one of the pastors here at the Bridge, and we are so glad that you have decided to join us for Christmas Eve together. Now, whether you're a regular attender here, or you're here because someone invited you to join us, we hope that tonight's experience brings a little bit of laughter and a whole lot of hope during these incredibly challenging times. We're gonna kick things off soon, but I need you to do something with me first. If you have your Christmas Eve Together box with you, now is the time to get it out and finally open it up. I mean, isn't this exciting? I don't know how long you've been waiting, but we heard so many reports of people picking them up, opening them up, and then realizing that they couldn't see what was inside because of our little friend guarding the secrets. Well, you don't have to wait anymore. The journey begins now. Simply remove this little guy that was guarding these secrets, thanks man, and reach inside and find the package that is labeled with a 1. Come on, get it, rip it open, see what's in there. Okay, now that you've had a chance to look, you're gonna see, I wanna explain a few things. Now you're gonna find hot chocolate. I mean, hot chocolate is pretty self-explanatory. I'll admit, I broke into it a little early and that's what you caught me enjoying. But the other stuff, let me explain the other stuff. So what you're gonna find there is a bunch of props and there's some sticks, and you're gonna use those to take an awesome at-home photo. Simply tape the sticks to the back of the items, distribute them to those who are watching with you or yourself, you can tape them to your face, and hold up on the back of the elf is a Christmas Eve Together sign. And then snap a funny memory. But wait, there's more. After that photo, we encourage you to share it to your social media platforms and tag the photo with hashtag Christmas Eve Together. And after Christmas, we are gonna look through those photos and choose one at random to enjoy a vacation at home prize pack. All right, well, go mix up the hot chocolate, grab a comfy seat, and get ready for some fun. But keep your box close, as you're gonna be prompted throughout the evening to open up the packages so that you can participate with us all. Now, if you don't have a box, that's okay. We hope that tonight still holds fun and hope for you. We sure miss having everybody in the building, but know this, although you may be feeling really isolated and alone today, we estimate that nearly 1,200 people are joining us. People from across Canada and the US in this virtual space celebrating Christmas Eve together. So know this, you are not alone. All right, that's enough for me. A 5-minute countdown's gonna start. Go get some hot chocolate. I have some hot chocolate to enjoy. Merry Christmas.
Well, hey there and Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Bridge Online for our Christmas Eve together. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Chris, and I really hope that you enjoy your time with us.
We sure do. I'm Lisa, and Merry Christmas to you and your family. Well, I hope that you have your hot chocolate and you have hashtagged your home photo booth pictures. Hey, we should join them. Why don't we take a selfie?
All right, let's do it.
Yeah? All right.
I got my Rudolph.
You got Rudolph. I got these glasses. So
Nice.
You ready?
Ready.
Okay. Well, we have a great service planned for you. If you've ordered one of our boxes, keep it close by because you will need it throughout the service. We will let you know when to open each gift, so no peeking, Chris. No peeking. All right, well, even if you don't have a box, no worries. You will still be able to join us throughout the service.
Well, Lisa, now that they're all settled in, I think it's time to kick things off. And what better place to start than with some Christmas music? We're gonna throw things over to the band for a little Christmas melody, and I invite you to sing along at home.
Awesome, let's go.
Ding dong, 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 ding dong merrily on high, and the bells are ringing. Ding dong merrily the sky is rimmed with angels singing. Gloria, Hosanna in excelsis. Ding dong. And so here below, let steeple bells be swunging, and yo by priest and people songing. Gloria, Hosanna in excelsis. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong merrily on high. The curse of sin is broken. Ding dong, open up your eyes. The celebration started. Gloria, Hosanna in excelsis. Gloria, Hosanna in excelsis. Ding dong, 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 ding dong. Ding dong, ding dong, deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. All together sing, be joyous, fa la 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 la. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong? What the gladsome tidings be, which inspire your heavenly song? Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis see him whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee, Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Here we go. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for it. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. Oh, tonight's the night. Yeah.
You're on.
Whoa, what? Oh, hey, everybody. It's Mr. Christmas. That's right. We're here today to celebrate Christmas Eve. And you know what? We've got a great game for you. It's called the Christmas Trivia Holiday Fun for all ages. Now, you might have this box at home. I hope you do. We either delivered it to you or you picked it up. It's the Christmas Eve Together box. And inside that box, open up package number 2 right now. Now, you're going to need some pens. This is a competition. I don't know about you, but I love competition. And you're going to need these cards. Pull them out. Yes, we're going to get going. We're going to get going. You're going to write down the answers. Here, questions 1 to 10 with your family. Here we go. Let's do this together. Grab those pens. I'll kill some time. You got those pens? Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Question number 1. Here we go with Mr. Christmas. In the song Frosty the Snowman, what made Frosty come to life? What was it? I don't know. Do you know? Write it down. Let's do it. You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. That's it. Time's up. Moving on to the next question. Question number 2. Oh, this suit is tight this year. Too much Christmas eggnog. All right, one of Santa's reindeers shares a name with the famous symbol of Valentine's Day. Which reindeer is that? I don't know. Maybe you know. Write it down. Here we go. We got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Time's up. Oh, yeah. Mr. Christmas is here and I'm pumped up. Yeah, let's go on to the next question. Question number 3. Here we go. In the Charles Dickens A Christmas Carol, what was Mr. Scrooge's first name? I don't know. Maybe you know. Let's go. Let's figure it out together. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Moving on to the next question with Mr. Christmas. Oh, yeah. Question number 4. What Bing Crosby song is the best-selling single ever? Woo! Let's find out together. Not quite yet. Let's write down the answers first. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving on to the next question. Question number 5. Oh, I'm out of breath. How about you? Oh, I'm going to need some eggnog soon. Here we go. In the early 1800s, the first gingerbread house were reportedly inspired by what famous fairy tale? Oh, woo. Write it down. Here we go. Let's move on to the next question in 3, 2, 1. Over to the next question. Boom. Question number 6. Miracle on 34th Street. I love that movie. Yeah. Mr. Christmas. Loving that movie. Christmas Miracle on 34th Street centers on what real-life department store? Oh, I'll give you a clue. It's not Sears. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Time to move on to the next question. Woo! Here we go. All right. How many reindeer featured in the poem "'Twas the Night Before Christmas"? Count them up, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Oh my goodness, I got a reindeer hat. This is it. Let's get into character here. Yes, let's do this. Okay, how many reindeer? We need to know. Write it down. Let's go. Next question. Here we go. Okay, question number 8. Per a recent holiday fad, what spy hides around the house reporting back to Santa on what has been naughty and nice? Who's been naughty? Who's been nice? Somebody's been watching you. Who is it? You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. All right, let's move on to the next question with Mr. Christmas. Woo! Okay, number 9. Here we go. Let's take it way back. In 1964 classic, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. What was the name of Rudolph's faithful elf companion? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Buddy Elf. Okay, here we go. This hat doesn't fit. Let's move on to the next prop. Okay, next question. Here we go. Question number 10. The final question if you're following along. Yes, I love throwing cards because I'm Mr. Christmas. Merry Christmas. Okay, number 10. What Christmas carol does the Peanuts gang sing at the end of a Charlie Brown Christmas? What is it? Let's go, let's go. It's the final question. Drum roll, please. Okay, 3, 2, I'm losing track of count here. 2, 1, okay, that's it. Time's up. Okay, I hope you scored well. Now listen, if you didn't happen to think you got the right answers, this isn't the time to be throwing all the pieces up in the air like me. Let's just get the answers first. Okay, here we go. Here we go. The answer to question number 1. I really gotta lay off that eggnog. Oh, this thing barely fits anymore. Number 1, an old silk hat. Did you get that one right? I hope you did. Okay, let's go on to question 2. Cupid. Question 3, let's do it. Boom, Ebenezer. That was a good one. I got that one. Let's move on to the number 4. Here we go. White Christmas. Yes, I love a white Christmas. I love a white Christmas. Okay, I only have a few left, so let's carry on. Hansel and Gretel, that's the answer to the next question, question number 5. And now we're gonna do question number 6. Here we go. The answer is Macy's. Yes, of course it wasn't Sears, it was Macy's. Yes, of course, who doesn't love Macy's? Where's Macy's? I'm not even sure. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. The answer was 8. No, Rudolph wasn't included. That's pretty sad. I don't know. Okay, I'm over it. Let's move on to the next question. The next answer. Here it is. The elf on the shelf. Yes, he's been watching the kids. He's been paying attention. You can't avoid the elf on the shelf, kids. You gotta be good. And hopefully Santa is gonna be amazingly great to you tonight. Of course he is. It's Christmas Eve. Here we go with Mr. Christmas. Let's do it. Hermie, yes. That is the next one. I know you nailed that one. You nailed it. Nailed it with Mr. Christmas. Let's move on. Hark the herald angels sing. Angels sing. I love that song. I'm not going to sing it though because Mr. Christmas isn't a great singer. But I am a good dancer. Yeah. Woo, 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 woo. Alrighty then. That is the end of it. That is the end of the Christmas trivia holiday fun for all ages. I hope you had an amazing time with yours truly, Mr. Christmas. I'm out of cards, everybody. We'll see you next year. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to need some more eggnog.
Oh my word, how in the world did Scott convince me, hey, be all you could be, opportunities to pivot and try new things. Okay, all I'm gonna sing. Well, now it's the Jeremy So-Bass toy band. I mean, how did I end up there? Man, I don't even know how I'm gonna pull this off. I'll get some work done, I'll figure it out later.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh, dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Frosty the snowman was a jolly, happy soul, with a corncob pipe and a button nose and two eyes made out of coal. Frosty the snowman is a fairy tale, they say. He was made of snow, but the children know how he came to life one day. Must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found, for when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Snowman was alive as he could be, and the children say he could laugh and play just the same as you and me. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games.
And what a funny Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright,
won't you guide my sleigh tonight?
Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history.
I don't know how I'm gonna pull this off. Like, honestly, what is Scott thinking? This is gonna be a hot mess.
Joy to the world, the Lord is
Christmas, as Andy Williams sang, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And I hope that's true for you today, wherever you are. And I want to thank you for inviting us into your home to celebrate with you this Christmas Eve. We hope that you've had a fantastic time with us. Hopefully everyone had fun taking those goofy pictures. We love taking goofy pictures in our home. We hope you did as well. And I look forward to seeing yours on social media a little bit later. I hope that you enjoyed your hot chocolate. I hope that it was delicious. I have to admit I'm more of a coffee person. I like to drink tea as well. Not really a hot chocolate person, but hopefully you enjoyed yours, and hopefully you weren't scared or scarred for life by Mr. Christmas. I know he's a little creepy, but hopefully you got some or maybe all of the answers to the quiz right. I hope you enjoyed the Jeremy Sauvé toy band. My guess is you enjoyed it a little more than he enjoyed doing it. And I hope that you enjoyed the rest of the music. Hopefully it was encouraging and enjoyable, and I hope that you sang along. And I hope that wherever you are, my hope is that you're surrounded by people you love, and that everything and everyone is merry and bright. I hope that's true, because I know for many, at least this Christmas Eve, well, that's just not the case. Because there's no denying or minimizing the reality we're experiencing globally, locally, and personally as a result of COVID-19. The effects felt socially, economically, mentally, and emotionally. The truth is, what's been taken from us, let's be honest, it's far greater than whatever COVID-19 could ever do to us. Maybe for you, maybe you're a generous person and you love Christmas. You love Christmas, but this Christmas, because of how you've been impacted and affected financially, maybe this Christmas you can't do what you want to do for your family. You can't do what you think your family expects of you this Christmas. And again, you love Christmas, you love your family, but maybe this Christmas Eve you're feeling a weight of guilt. Or maybe this Christmas Eve you're feeling a weight of shame because of what you can't do for those that you love the most. Maybe your company is downsizing and you're anxious this Christmas, having no idea what the new year holds. You love Christmas. You love this time of year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. But this year you're tired and you can't seem to shake this weight that you feel. And no matter how hard you try, you just can't shake it. Maybe for you, you feel like a snow globe that's, sitting on the coffee table that's just been shaken and shaken and shaken, and you don't know if what you're thinking, you don't know if what you're feeling, you don't know if it's ever going to settle, and you don't know why. Or maybe for you, you don't know what to do about it. Again, Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, and Christmas, it's about being together. And yet, as hard as you've tried and as creative as you've been as a family, like we've tried to be in this service, maybe you just can't escape that this Christmas Eve, it's just not what it should be. This Christmas Eve, it isn't how it should be. There are those people that you love, and you long for Christmas because it's at Christmas that everyone's finally together, and you love that about Christmas. And yet this year, maybe your heart is heavy because it's Christmas and someone is missing. Or maybe for you, your heart is heavy this Christmas because you're the one that's missing. You love going home for Christmas. You love going home to see your parents and the rest of your family. And yes, it's been hard for all these months in 2020. All these number of months over the last little bit. It's been tough. But you feel it more today because today is not just like any other day in 2020. It's Christmas Eve. For you, it's hard not having your kids under your roof. It's been hard for years. So you long for Christmas. You long for it because you know at Christmas they'll be home. But now it feels like Christmas isn't the most wonderful time of the year. It's actually the worst time of year because it's not what it should be. It's not how it should be. This Christmas Eve isn't what you need it to be. Maybe for you, you long to be a grandparent because now you can spoil your grandkids and you can sugar them up and spoil them and then let someone else deal with them. And you love that about being a grandparent. And you love Christmas. You love being with your grandkids and seeing them and all the excitement and all the joy. But this Christmas Eve, that joy is reduced to a box under their tree from Amazon and a FaceTime call that doesn't do their faces or doesn't do their laughter, doesn't do their joy justice. And that at a time of year when being together means so much, it means so much, we feel the distance this time of year more than any other time of year. And maybe for you, you find yourself this Christmas Eve grieving. And it's not just this year you can't see that person that's special to you. Maybe you're grieving that this is the first Christmas that you'll experience since the loss of that someone in your life. And this year you've had to grieve. You've had to grieve the fact that you can't even grieve in a normal way. Your own grief has been taken from you. Or maybe for you, you feel a weight this Christmas because you've been warring against something physically. And maybe for you, you wonder if this will be your last Christmas. And see, all of us to some extent, all of us to varying degrees in all of our lives, We all have a story, right? And our story, it's what makes Christmas as wonderful as it is. And even though it's the most wonderful time of the year, it's the reality of our story. It's the reality of our lives that sometimes makes Christmas not wonderful, but it's that reality that sometimes makes Christmas difficult. Maybe it makes it painful for you. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Christmas, and I believe it's the most wonderful time of the year. But the thing that creates the tension in Christmas is that Christmas, well, it exaggerates all that's uncertain. Christmas exaggerates all that's unexpected and unbearable. And at the same time, it points us to something that's absolutely incredible and unbelievable. Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, but it's not necessarily the most wonderful time of the year because of what is happening around us. It's the most wonderful time of the year, but it's not the most wonderful time of the year because of what's happening. Because what's happening in us, what's happening around us, oftentimes at Christmas, it's what gets exaggerated. It's what gets focused on because the time is so condensed. And because the time creates, at Christmas time, it creates so much anticipation. It creates so much expectation at Christmas. It's at Christmas that we're reminded that there are problems we can't solve, right? There are problems we can't solve. There are losses that we can't replace no matter how hard we try. We recognize at Christmas that there are people we can't control, and there are expectations that we can't meet. So Christmas, while it really is the most wonderful time of the year, it's not necessarily the most wonderful time of the year because of what's happening. But Christmas is absolutely the most wonderful time of the year because of what happened. You see, at Easter, we celebrate an event, a one-time event. But at Christmas, we celebrate a season where we look forward to an event that changed everything, where God sent his Son, where God sent his one and only Son into the world to become the center of history. But more importantly for you, and more importantly for me, he sent his one and only Son into the world to become the center of my life and the center of your life. And when Jesus becomes the center of your life, and when Jesus becomes the center of my life, our lives become centered on something stable, centered on the one in the stable, on the one who gives us a sense of purpose, a sense of, I don't need to fear, even though there are so many things to fear. That there's a sense in which Christmas is not the most wonderful time of the year because of who is physically with us. But Christmas, it's the most wonderful time of the year because at Christmas, we are reminded who is for us. And the darker things get, and the more uncertain things get, and the more unexpected things are, and the more complicated things get. And at Christmas time, let's be honest, everything gets a little bit exaggerated at Christmas time. But at the same time, at Christmas time, we're able to focus on the light of the world that has come into this world to make an extraordinarily personal, intimate difference in each one of our lives. Now for you, if you grew up in church, or if you've read the Bible at all, or have any Bible background, you probably know this. But at the beginning of the New Testament, the Bible is broken up into two parts, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And at the beginning of the New Testament, there are 4 Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And these Gospels, these books, there are 4 different accounts of Jesus' life. Matthew, Mark, and Luke, their accounts are very similar. But John's, however, well, John's is just a little bit different. John, unlike Matthew and unlike Luke, he doesn't give us the traditional birth story that we talk about at Christmas. It doesn't talk about the birth of Jesus in the same way that we traditionally hear at Christmas. John takes a little bit of liberty. John gives us a little bit of a different perspective. And the thing that's so fascinating about the Gospel of John is that when John wrote his Gospel, he was an old man. He was a very old man. In fact, most people think that his Gospel, it was actually the last Gospel to be written. And when John sat down as an old man, he sat down to write his Gospel, to write about the things that he had seen and heard. We don't know this for sure, but it seems as if maybe he was thinking something like, you know what? I better sit down and write this down because I don't have a lot of time left. And I want to make sure that these stories aren't just ones that I hold on in my heart. I want to make sure that they're passed on for future generations. Now, we don't know for sure that that's what he was thinking, but what we do know from the book of Acts, which is the first book that follows the Gospels, is that John had told these stories that he's about to write about. He's told these stories many, many, many times, hundreds of times. I mean, imagine if you're somebody who sat at the feet of Jesus. I mean, just imagine how popular you'd be. Imagine how popular you'd be with Christians anywhere and everywhere. I mean, anytime John went anywhere, people would say, tell us again, tell us again, tell us what it was like. I mean, we've heard the stories. I mean, they've been around, but you were there. You saw him with your own eyes. You heard him with your own ears. So he's told these stories many, many, many times. John is the person, and this is amazing, especially when you find out more about him, but John is the person that reduced God to a single word. John is the person that sat back and said, okay, let me make sense. Let me make sense of this. Let me make this as simple and as clear as possible. God is love. John's the one who said that. And the thing that's so amazing about John saying that is because of what John had seen and what John had experienced in his life. He's a very, very old man, and he's experienced loss like you can't even begin to imagine, no matter what your story's like. I mean, he's lost friends. He's lost family members. He's lost, in some ways, his whole world. I mean, the world as he knows it, it's gone. John was alive when Nero sent General Vespasian into Galilee, and he began to work his way down through Galilee, rolling up all these Jewish cities and all these Jewish towns, slaughtering thousands and thousands of Jewish people, and sending thousands and thousands of men, women, and children into the slave markets of Rome. John lived through that. John lived through the time when Vespasian surrounded the city of Jerusalem, the holy city of Jerusalem, and he either saw that city surrounded, I mean, we don't know for sure, or perhaps John was in the city of Jerusalem during the time when people were literally starving to death. A time where plagues had broken out. And during the Jewish war, John was either there or maybe he heard the story about the temple being burned to the ground. Something that was a big part of his life, a significant part of his world. And over 1 million Jews were slaughtered. Over 100,000, and others, historians say maybe 200 or 300,000 slaves were taken from the city of Jerusalem, and they flooded the Roman slave markets. And by the time he had written this, his friend Peter and his friend Paul, heroes of the New Testament, they'd been executed by Nero. And through all of that bloodshed, and through all of that loss, and through all of that chaos that we can't even begin to imagine, John never lost faith. In fact, at the end of his gospel, there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. At the end of his gospel, at the Gospel of John, here's what John writes. He says this, he says, Jesus performed many other signs, because his gospel is filled with the signs that Jesus had performed. There were 7 specific signs, but he says, look, Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. In other words, he's saying, I've just given you a taste of what we experience with Jesus. I've just given you in my writings the tip of the iceberg of what we experience with Jesus. And then he says this, he says, but these are written, these words, they're written that you may believe. In other words, the reason I'm writing this gospel, the reason I'm leaving this with you is that I'm hoping that after you read this account of Jesus' life, after you read what I'm writing, my hope is that you won't simply be impressed, you won't simply be amazed, but I'm writing this that you might believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing, you may have life. Now, not physical life, because everybody reading this already had physical life, but I'm writing this so that you may have a different kind of life in his name. That in spite of what John had seen, in spite of what John had smelled, in spite of what John had experienced at the end of his life, with the destruction of everything important to him, and the loss of just about everyone important to him, John still believed, as an old man, John still believed that Jesus was the source of some kind of life that went beyond physical life. And so when he begins his gospel, when he begins writing about Jesus so that you might believe, he doesn't begin with the story of Jesus' birth, which is fascinating. I mean, it's fascinating to me because when Jesus was crucified, as Jesus was dying, he says to John, this same John, he says, John, I want you to take Mary, my mother Mary, I want you to take Mary and I want you to, I want you to take her as your mother. And Mary, I want you to view John as your son. So how much time John and Mary spent together, we don't exactly know. I mean, some people say they left and eventually went to Ephesus and, John took care of Mary until she died. We don't know for sure. But we can imagine, if you can do that, if you can imagine that John must have heard the story of Jesus' birth over and over and over and over again. I mean, if anybody had the opportunity to say, hey, Mary, tell me what it was like one more time. Mary, what was it like when you discovered that you were pregnant? Mary, tell me again, how did you feel? What did you feel when that angel appeared? Mary, what was it like to know that you bore the Son of God? I mean, he must have heard this story so many times, right? I mean, he was the person that took care of Mary, the mother of Jesus. And yet when John begins his gospel, he doesn't begin with Bethlehem. He doesn't begin with shepherds. He doesn't begin with an inn. He doesn't begin with wise men, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. He doesn't begin with a manger. He doesn't even begin with a star, though he does begin with a light. You see, just like they were very, very dark days when John wrote this gospel, he was an old man, but they were very, very dark days. John was reminded that when Jesus was born, he was born at a time when it was very, very dark as well. And so when he sat down to start his gospel, before he got into all the narratives, before he got into all the details, here's what he said, and this is so extremely powerful because in a time of our lives, in a season of our lives when things are so unexpected, in a time or a season of our lives when things are almost unbearable, when they're so uncertain, in a season of our lives when we're reminded not only of who is coming, but who won't come, when we're reminded of what we're going to get and reminded of what we're never going to get, John begins his gospel speaking of Jesus this way. He says, in him meaning Jesus, in him was life, not physical life, but John's trying to put this into words. He's trying to help us believe. He says, he's got all this experience. He's had all this time to think about it. Again, he's an old man. He has all of this perspective. He's seen things come and go, and he's seen people born and die, and he's seen the destruction of everything important. And he summarizes it. He says, look, when I think about Jesus, the best way I know to put it is, in him was life, and that life was a light of all mankind. Now this was such a huge statement because when Jesus showed up on the earth and people began to view him as the Jewish Messiah, they thought that what Jesus was going to do would be local, that what Jesus was going to do would be for Israel. And yet as an old man, when John sits back and he says, look, I realize now that Jesus didn't simply come for a few of us. Jesus didn't simply come for the Jews. That what Jesus came for was all mankind. That he brought an element of life and he brought a light that was for all mankind. And then he says, and this is my favorite part, again, he's just starting off his gospel. It's like, here's the introduction. And he says, and that light shines in the darkness. And my guess is he thought about the darkness around him. Darkness that, again, we can't really even begin to imagine. And he says, in spite of everything that's happened, in spite of everyone who's died, everyone who's been executed, everyone who was crucified, everyone that was taken away, in spite of the fact that the whole Jewish nation has essentially been turned upside down at this point, in spite of the fact that everything I've grown to know and love, despite that it's all gone, in spite of that, in spite of all of that, this light shines in the darkness. And then he says, and the darkness has not, and I think he paused. I think he paused and I think he thought, what's the right word? I mean, everyone understands what it means for light to shine in darkness, for a light to shine in darkness and to expose what's in the darkness. But this light of Christ, this light of Jesus, it shines in the darkness, and it's as if darkness, as hard as it's tried to put it out, to snuff it out, to overwhelm it, to consume it, to seize it, to imprison it, to surround it, to deny it, as hard as it seems that the world or our culture has tried to blow out this light, John says, The darkness has not overcome it. Now, it's possible as an old man, it's possible that John was the last apostle alive. And with a grin on his face, I'm sure he wrote, in spite of everything that this world has tried to do to eradicate the light that is life, the darkness has not overcome it. The darkness has not overwhelmed it. The darkness has not, cannot put it out. Caesar couldn't do it. Tiberius couldn't do it. Nero couldn't do it. The destruction of the temple didn't do it. The death of Jesus hadn't done it. This was John, who was absolutely convinced that no matter what happens in this life, that no matter what we face in this life, that no matter how deep the heartache, no matter how extreme the fear, and no matter how deep the depression, that there is a light that shines in the darkness, and there is no amount of darkness, and there is no type of darkness that can put it out. So, at Christmas, when we are confronted, as maybe in no other time of the year, at Christmas when we're confronted, when you're confronted, when I'm confronted with the fact that there are problems we can't solve, that you have problems that you can't solve, that maybe you are a problem that someone is trying to solve. At Christmas, when we are confronted with losses that we can never get back, and voids that can never or may never be filled, when we're confronted with the fact that there are people that we just can't control, and that no matter how rational we are, no matter how empathetic we try to be, no matter how many times we try to explain it to them, and no matter how many times we tell them our story, and no matter how many times we try to come alongside them and help them, to teach them, to guide them, no matter how many conversations we have, there are just some people that we can't control. And there are expectations that you're never going to meet. Just like you oftentimes and I oftentimes become or set the expectations that we expect other people to meet. But we're reminded, you're reminded, I hope, I know I am, we are reminded in the midst of all of that darkness that Jesus is life and light who overcomes all of that darkness. That because of who and what he is, there is always hope. There is always hope. There is always a reason to believe. There is a God who knows. There is a God who cares. There is a God who hears our prayers. There is a reason to wake up every single day and take the next step. Christmas really is the most wonderful time of the year, but not necessarily because of what's happening. It's the most wonderful time of the year because of what happened. And not necessarily because of who's with you, but because of who is for you. John wrote his gospel so that you might believe. And so rather than beginning with the story of Jesus' birth, he began with the significance of Jesus' birth. That because of Jesus, the life that was light, there is hope, no matter the darkness. And so, as we celebrate this Christmas Eve together, I want to invite you to open up package number 4. John wrote his words, and he said he wrote them so that you might believe that Jesus is the Messiah. And he said by believing you can have life in his name. Again, not physical life, but a different kind of life. A life that he would define later in his gospel when he penned what is probably the most famous words in all of Scripture. That God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. That whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And this is a small gift from us to you. Now it's just a simple word that we want you to hold on to this Christmas. Because no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you've been to or through in your life, no matter how dark things may seem in your world right now, there is hope this Christmas because of who and what Jesus is. The life that was light. and no darkness can overcome him. So in him there is strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Now right now we want you, or maybe someone that's with you, we want you to take a moment and place this on your tree right now. When Christmas is over, when life keeps going, when that ornament is packed away, we want you to hold on to hope. Not because of what's happening, but because of what happened. Not because it's Christmas, but because of who Christ is. Not because of the story of Jesus' birth, but because of the significance of Jesus' birth. That God so loved the world, that God so loved mankind that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, before we close our time together, we want to invite you as a family to open up package number 5. Each Christmas Eve, we close our service by lighting candles and singing Silent Night together. It's powerful. It's a beautiful sight to see all the candles overcoming the darkness of a room, representative of the life of Jesus, that is light. And right now, even though we aren't together, even though we're not together physically, we want you to know that you are together with people from coast to coast in Canada and into the US. Right now, we are together. And as you light your candles, and as you sing this song that maybe you've sung many, many, many times before, my prayer this Christmas Eve, my prayer is that it takes on a new meaning for you this Christmas. That it reminds you of the one that John talked about. That in him was life, and that life was a light of all mankind. The light shines bright in the darkness, and the darkness has not, will not, cannot overcome it. And so, I would like to invite you to light your candles. And I'd like to invite you to join Darla and Gigi Fuller as we sing together, Silent Night.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant so tender and mild, Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace.
I know this isn't the Christmas that we all have planned, but I'm so thankful you invited us into your home and that we could share that moment together. Silent Night is such a beautiful song and such a perfect way to end our time together. We hope that in the midst of all the darkness and frustration surrounding this Christmas, that you hold on to the hope that Scott talked about.
We sure do. We miss you and we are praying for you. Now, for those of you that are paying close attention, you will notice that there is one package left, number 6. No, we didn't forget. We would love to have you open it after the service. It's a little package letting you know what we have going on around here, including a brand new series called Pronouns that starts January the 10th. We would love to have you join us right back here.
Yes, we would. Well, that's our Christmas Eve together service. Thank you so much for joining us. From all of us here at the Bridge, to you and your family, a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.